Everybody is screaming, release these fucking files. We want to know what is going on. We want to know.
What would we find out if they were all released? Anything we didn't know?
Honestly, I have no idea. Is it the end of the fucking country? Like, is it really that
C.S.
bad?
Lewis has this. Well, I have tons of opinions on the subject. I don't have, concrete proof. But of course, I think I know. But C.S. Lewis has this. I think it was C.S. Lewis has this essay in which he says people debate, was Jesus really God or whatever.
Shawn Ryan and Tucker Carlson weighs in on the newest Epstein files, JFK files, and Trump as they argue about releasing the files in this heated debate. Check this out.
If Jesus came back to Earth tomorrow and held a press conference, like a week later, people would be talking about something else. It's like, we actually know what's true. We know what's true. And the way that dogs know what's true, you can't reason with the dog can smell it. And he sticks with his opinion because he has no other input. If you hate a dog, you can't talk your way out of it. The dog knows you hate the dog because dogs have unerring instincts, and so do we. And so, of course, we know exactly what the Epstein story is about. It's about the deep corruption of global leadership, of course.
He nails it, doesn't he? Deep corruption of global leadership. No distinction needed between the Mossad, the CIA, the British government, or even Bill Gates. It is all just different kind of the same beast. And here's the kicker. He says we already know that. And he is right. Think about it. When as a politician ever truly surprised you with their integrity, it's like expecting your cat to suddenly start doing your taxes. You want to believe it, but every fiber of your being screams, nope, that's not happening. We pretend to be shocked, but deep down, we've all got that gut feeling, that primal instinct. Just like a dog knows if you ate it. We smell the stench of corruption from a mile away. These files, they're just the official receipt of the rotten meal we have been served for decades. They are not going to reveal a secret alien lizard overlord. At this point, I wouldn't rule it out. They are going to confirm what every red-blooded American with an ounce of common sense already suspects. The people at the top are already looking out for themselves, not us. This is the oldest story in the book, folks. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The only difference is now is the scale. It's not just local sheriffs taking bribes. It's global elites trading children and state secrets like a baseball card. So, why I'm up for releasing the damn tapes and files? Let's not act like it's going to be some grand revelation. It's more like finally getting the lab result back for a disease you already know you had. It's time to stop pretending and start fighting the sickness.
And you can say it's about Israel, it's about the CIA. Well, is there a distinction really? Not just between Israel and, Mossad and CIA, but about the British government or really kind of any government or any, Bill Gates or Leon Black. It's all kind of varieties of the same thing. It's corrupt leadership that is acting on its own behalf against the interests of the people they lead. It's the oldest story there is. It's the Pharisees. And if we're honest, we already know that. So, of course, I'm completely for disclosure of everything, but I don't lie to myself and say that disclosure would change human nature, because it won't. And people have an opportunity to exploit others, generally will. And the rest of us need to fight daily against that, not because we're going to win in the short term, but because it is our duty and to serve what's good and true, period, even if we're killed doing it. So I don't know. I won't stop pushing for disclosure. I really believe that. Trust is built on honesty. It's not built on lies, ever.
You say, does it change? I can't remember your exact verbiage, but we were talking about, when this gets exposed, does it change anything? No, this is the nature of man. This is what happens. But
we already know the answer.
Men need to be reset. And men have not been fucking reset, not in this country, for a long time.
That's coming whether we want it or not. We don't want it, but it's coming.
And
All this shit about women don't need men. You've obviously seen chaos in a society, right? Like actual chaos. People just like shoot into buildings and no one arrests them. You spent your life around that stuff. Those societies don't ask questions like, what are men for? You know what I mean? Right. And we're, of course, moving closer to that. And all of this, all of our silliest manifestations, you know, the trans craziness or feminism or other just revolts against nature are only possible because we live in this nerf world of affluence.
Revolt against nature. Man, that's a mic drop if I've ever heard one. And he's spot on. We have become so soft, so insulated by our nerf world of affluence, that we are forgetting what real struggle, real purpose, and real nature even mean. Feminism, the trans movement, and whatever new alphabet, true identity crisis pops up next week. These aren't signs of progress. They are symptoms of a society that has too much time on its hands and not enough genuine problems to solve. We are literally inventing reasons to be offended and confused because the actual threats to our existence have been outsourced to some poor snow in a country that we can't even find on a map. When you're worried about putting food on the table or protecting your family from actual danger, you don't have time to actually debate whether there's 72 genders or if men can get pregnant. These are the luxury of the comfortable, the bored, and the utterly detached from reality. It talks about rich people being insufferable that are detached from reality. Well, guess what? A huge chunk of our society is acting like those unsufferable rich people. We are so far removed from the natural order, from the struggle that builds character and clarity. We are literally rebelling against our own biology. This isn't about hate. It is about common sense. When society abandons its foundational truths, chaos follows. And mark my words, this nerve world is rapidly deflating. When comfort disappears, we this really revolt against nature? Because survival is a funny way of bringing you back to reality, hard and fast.
But as that starts to change, and it is changing, then the upside of that, we're going to get poorer and the society will become more dangerous, but we'll also be a little more rooted in reality. In the same way that rich people are insufferable, not all, but a lot of rich people are insufferable because they're detached from reality, from nature, from God, from like the things that are real, and they convince themselves because they can fly from point to point without going through TSA that they have infinite power, and they don't, and that's why they're so hard to have dinner with. But a normal society doesn't have these problems. It has all kinds of other problems, but doesn't have the American problems of like, you know, I'm a 40-year-old unmarried Citibank executive. I'll just get a surrogate. It's like, okay. Or the suicide rate. There's not a lot of suicide in, you know, impoverished countries because like the mission is really clear. Eat. You know, there's not a lot of crisis of meaning in Burundi. You know what I mean?
It's a fight for the day.
Yeah, it's a fight for the day. Well, it's a trade-off. I mean, I would much rather live in a DoorDash society because I like comfort and ease and everything, but it is a trade-off, and you trade comfort for meaning. That's just kind of what we've done, and we shouldn't be surprised by it.
What do you think happens, honestly? If this, do you think this is actually is this gonna come out? Or has it all been shredded? I mean, you know, Mark Epstein said this is...
of course. I mean, we don't have the JFK files.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you ask, like, why don't we? Who is being protected here? There are no living stakeholders in that story. There's no living participant in that murder conspiracy. It was a conspiracy. We know that. So who were the participants in that conspiracy? Well, no one's still alive. So who could we possibly be protecting by not releasing all of those files? And that's a pretty short list of suspects. So I think we kind of know what that is, at least in part. I don't know the details. I know some, but I think it's pretty obvious. Same with Epstein. It's pretty clear who some of the players were. They were governments, the U.S. government involved, British government involved, Israeli government involved at various levels. The guy lived a fairly long life. He died in his mid-60s. He was pretty active in government work, arms trading, for example, from a young age, from his late 20s, I think, when he left Bear Stearns. He got into that business with Robert Maxwell. You don't trade arms by yourself. You do it on behalf of governments and with the assistance of governments. Obviously, you've been around this, you know. So from that age, from say 30 to what, 65-ish when he died, so 35 years, he's intersecting with governments. It's not just the Israelis. I mean, the Israelis were definitely involved. Ehud Barak is living at his house. I mean, okay. And we have a lot of his emails that prove that, and I'm not defending the Israeli government, which is hard to defend, but I'm just trying to tell the truth, which is it's not just the Israelis, okay? It's us, it's the British, the French, it's the usual players, the intel services that matter in the West and probably others. So that's who's being protected, of course, and then all kinds of other pawns. And so I think one of the main takeaways from that story, about which I know a lot, but not everything, is that the leaders that we believe are leaders, and people are starting to get this, like our elected officials, oh, they have so much power, or Senator so-and-so, President, what's his name? You know, like these are the people running our society, are not the people running our society. Of course, they themselves are subject to enormous pressures from, you know, other people and coalitions of people and forces and interests. And like, that's what and the closer you get to them, the more time you spend with the people who are in charge, the more you realize they're not really in charge, or they're only semi in charge.
How does it happen?
This is the real red pill, isn't it? The chilling realization that people think that we are in charge. Your senators, your presidents, your governors are often just puppets. They are glorified spokespeople, reading scripts written by unseen hands, dancing to tunes played by unseen orchestras. It's not just some crazy conspiracy theory. It's just how power works when it becomes centralized and opaque. These elected officials are subject to enormous pressure. That is a polite way of saying blackmail, leverage, and the kind of backroom deals that will make your stomach turn. Think of it like a corporate ladder. The CEO might be the face, but the real power often lies within the board, the major shareholders, or even the shadowy figures who funded their climb to the top. In government, it is even more insidious. The lobby list, the foreign interest, the intelligence agencies, the unelected bureaucrats, and yes, the people who know where bodies are buried, literally and figuratively. They set traps, as the speaker says, and it's not just a hookah in a hotel room, though that certainly happens. It's often a slow, seductive dance of favors, access, and the promise of a comfortable life after public service. You get drawn into the group, you compromise a little here and there. Before you know it, you're not just serving the people who elected you, you are serving the masters who own you. This is why term limits are crucial, why transparency is paramount, and why the people need to be eternally vigilant. Because if we don't hold them accountable, if we don't demand to know who's really calling the shots, then we are just spectators in our own demise. And trust me, the show is not pretty. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give it a like, subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And remember, always keep thinking.
I'm very, I mean, you know, how does it happen? We talked about this a little bit at breakfast. I don't think everything is transactional as it may seem.
Oh, no.
I think that, and this is from my own experience, and I don't believe I've fallen into any yet, but I think I have come close. I think they set traps, and that doesn't mean there's a hooker in the fucking hotel room that you walk into.
Though
and
there
it's
is
like,
sometimes.
oh, you know what I mean?
There is sometimes.
For somebody that fucking weak,
You'd have to,
you know,
be,
that would
and
be
stupid,
great.
by the way.
But, and I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are that fucking stupid.
Or the
and that
porn
weak.
sites. I'm gonna look up tranny porn on YouPorn. Oh, that's not controlled by a foreign intel service. Oh, it is. It is. That actually is true. So, yeah, I mean, there are a million ways that your weaknesses expose you to influence, for sure.
I think they can be very giving, and I think they can be very giving, and it appears that you're being led into a group, and then
Oh, I'm watching that right now with someone. Yes,
you're fucking done.
of course.
But not even realizing it until you're in.
Oh, yes.
And I think I've come close, and I always like, if I even get a fucking inkling of that happening, I'm like, nope, done, not going, not getting on the
Stay
jet.
true to that.
Not going there, not going there, not
Yep.
doing it.